Hey folks, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake. It is Tuesday, January 3rd. Wow. Happy New Year. First report of 2017. As far as our lake level is concerned, we're still at 907. I think it was 0.2 this morning. Core has been running quite a bit of water. Seems like they run most of it in the evening or overnight, and that has affected the fishing a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit later. Water temperature 50 to 51 degrees. It's quite a bit cooler today than it has been. Actually, we started off at about 50 degrees this morning and it's progressively gotten colder. Nice day yesterday, a little bit rainy, a little bit of hail, which is always fun to be on the water and have hail. But yeah, it was about 60 degrees yesterday, decent weekend. We do have a cold snap coming through this week. Supposed to be, in the low 30s most of the week for highs, teens for lows, and a chance of snow on Thursday, so that probably will affect our water temperature a little bit going forward. But all in all, the fish are still biting. Had a good week last week. Fished pretty much every day and caught quite a few fish. We got a couple of different bites going on, so if you guys are coming down, so you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, you got three basic bites going on. The same ones we've been talking about for the last month and a half are still working. There's still a really good solid deep bite with either a scuba spoon, Rapala jigging Rap, or a drop shot rig with either a shad shaped worm or a dream shot on it. Most of those fish are coming out of creek channels, and most of them are coming anywhere from about 35 to 65 feet deep. Overall depth really doesn't seem to matter. Some of them are relating to the bottom when they're a little bit shallower, but most of the fish are going to be suspended. A lot of them are around treetops in the guts of the creeks and on the channels of the creeks. So look for those fish to be out there. You got to find shad. That's the biggest thing. You really need to find the shad in order to be successful doing that. If you're not seeing shad in the creek, you need to move on. Go try another creek, because they're not in every creek. And this current that they've been running in the afternoon has affected that a little bit, because that evening afternoon current will pull those shad out of the spots that you caught them the day before. So watch the mouths of the creeks, work your way back into them. You should be finding fish doing that. Strong crankbait bite right now in the dam area as well. Look for those fish to be on those 45-degree chunk rock banks and those channel swing banks that we always talk about this time of year. Most of the fish are less than 10 feet deep, so wiggle wart's been really strong. If you're finding you're not getting bit up that shallow, back off a little bit and throw a rock crawler out to about 12 foot deep. A lot of fish coming on a wiggle wart, and we're starting to catch them on a jerkbait too. Had a few fish on both the McStick and the Megabass last week. Those fish seem to be related more to cover. If you can find some shallower brush piles, a lot of the good brush piles are out of the water right now, but there's a lot of brush that would normally be about 10 or 15 foot deep that's pretty close to the surface, so you don't want to throw at those. Back off and find those brush piles that would normally be about 18 to 20 feet deep. Catching a few fish out of those brush piles, especially with the Megabass Vision 110 and with the Spro McStick. Seems to be that bite will get better as time goes by. Really, color doesn't seem to matter as long as it's a shad color. I like Tennessee shad on the Megabass, and I do like the Norman Flake on the McStick. If you guys are going to the Kimberling City area, good bites there as well. Solid deep bites still. It seems like the deep bite's really starting to kick off, even though our water temperature hasn't dropped that much. Solid deep bite on the scuba spoon, on the Rapala jigging Rap, and on the drop shot with either a dream shot or a shad shaped worm. Same sort of pattern. Most of those fish are in creeks, relating to trees, relating to ditches. It's really a little bit different down there. Starting to see fish relating to, I guess you'd call them ditches, or just little indentations when you get back in the creek where maybe there's a feeder ditch that comes in or a little draw that comes in. Starting to find some fish moving into those areas. Those fish tend to be relating more to the bottom than they are to the trees, anywhere from 35 to 70 feet deep. And you won't see a lot of fish when you first drop your bait down. You might see one or two, you drop it down, hook one, and the whole school will come up. So that's a very solid pattern in the Kimberling City area. Crankbait bites really strong there. Did really well with the wiggle wart last week in Kimberling City, especially on windy chunk rock, 45 degree, and transition banks from rock to gravel, especially channel swing banks back into the creeks. Caught some better blacks doing that last week. And stickbait bites starting to turn on. Didn't really throw a stickbait in Kimberling that much this past week, but I think it's going to turn on up there as well. And a jig bite, throwing the Jewel Pro Spider jig around boat docks, especially on sunny, calm days. There's a lot of fish hanging around boat docks in the shade, so make sure you have a jig tied on if you're going to the Kimberling City area. Go up the James, really solid shallow bite. That water is starting to cool off up there. Still haven't made it above Cape Fear yet. I had planned on going above Cape Fear last week, and plans just didn't work out. We were catching them too good around Anns Creek to really go up into Cape Fear, but caught them really good deep around Anns Creek all the way to about Campers Point. Most of those fish were main lake fish on a scuba spoon and an ice jig. Didn't really use a drop shot up there that much. Most of them are relating to the bottom. Main lake on those channel swings and on those islands where the island drops off into the channel. A lot of good fish out there. 35 to 55 feet deep seem to be the prime depth up there. And then a crankbait bite. It's really a strong crankbait bite on those channel swings, main lake channel swings, and in some of the bigger creek arms like Anns Creek or Woolly Creek or even Piney. There's some really good crankbait fish up there. Wigglewort was strong, and a rock crawler was strong up the James as well. Mostly blacks up there. Didn't really throw a stick bait that much. Kind of got on the stick bait bite late in the week. I imagine there's probably a pretty strong stick bait bite up there as well. White River continues to be strong. Continue to catch fish up from Baxter to Shell Knob has been really good for me the last couple of weeks. Crankbait bite, really, really good. Wigglewort, rock crawler, look for those fish to be on 45-degree chunk rock and transition channel swing banks. Both of those areas have been really, really strong with both the rock crawler and the wigglewort. Anything in a crawdad pattern seems to be working really good up there. Deep bite is super up there. Really a strong deep bite on a scuba spoon and on the ice jig. A lot of fish coming out there in 45 to 65 foot deep. Those fish up there seem to be relating more to trees, kind of like they are in the dam. But we did catch some in some of those ditches and draws as well, anywhere from 35 to 70. And again, just like in the Kimberling City area, you won't see very many fish on the graph, but you drop your bait down there, hook one, and the entire bottom will explode, and you'll be surprised how many fish are actually there. Jig bite's strong up there as well. I fished a lot of boat docks up in the Baxter area this past week with a jewel spider jig and Okeechobee blue and green pumpkin candy matched up with a J-tail or a pocket chunk or a speed craw, and caught a lot of fish around the shade of boat docks on those calmer days when you don't have the wind that really makes that crankbait bite turn on. So it's the beginning of January, calling for 40s and 50-degree weather all next week. Fish are biting, and the bite's going to continue to get better. I mean, if you guys are wanting to learn how to fish deep, now is definitely the time to come down and learn how to fish deep. A lot of fish being caught deep right now, and that bite's only going to get better. If you want to learn how to fish a crankbait, right now is the time. I mean, if you want to learn, you always want to learn how to fish a wigglewort or a rock crawler, great time to come down and do that because they're really on it right now. And the stickbait bite's only going to continue to get better. I mean, maybe you spend a bunch of money on some mega bass and you're just not happy with how you're catching them. Great time to come down here now through the end of February. Catch a lot of fish on the stickbait going forward. But speaking of now, between the end of February, we are still running winter rates all the way to the end of February. You can save $50 on a guide trip. Doesn't matter if you want to do a half day, 3/4 day, full day, you'll save $50. But thinking about booking a guide, thinking about coming down to Table Rock, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com. Either shoot me an email or book online. If you book online, we get back to you right away, let you know that your date's available, set up your time and meeting place. But a lot of good fishing coming up over these next 2 months, guys. So if you're thinking about coming, please give me a call. I really appreciate you all watching the videos. Appreciate you subscribing to the videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the water.